I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Van Cleek,
Here.
Councilman Secreto, Councilwoman Hayner, Councilman Kitchen,
Here.
Supervisor Quigley,
It's over here.
Present. Thank you very much for joining us tonight for the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting on Thursday, August 4th, 2022. Any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, and I have a motion in reference to the Ulster County Traffic Safety Board, which will be brought up at that point in the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, please open the floor to comments on the agenda. I want to remind you, we have two scheduled public hearings tonight. Those are for the purposes set forth on the agenda. In addition, we have an open comment period at the end of the meeting for any matters that the town's residents wish to discuss or inform the town board of. So I'm asking if anyone has any comments on the agenda as presented. Nothing on the agenda. Thank you. Communications?
no communications tonight.
Very good. We'll move to new business until the appointed time for the public hearing. The first item is an annual resolution. And I will ask for a motion to accept the resolution to authorize the town court to make application for the 2023 court grant with Judge Suzanne Kessick and Supervisor Quigley being authorized to sign the grant paperwork.
So,
I
second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. As part of our professional development program, every year, the court clerks, which are part of our justice court, attend training. So there is a motion here to authorize the court clerks to attend training at the Desmond Hotel and Conference Center in Albany, October 17th through the 19th. I have a
Second that.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Secreto, the next two items in reference to personnel.
Yes, this comes at the request of our police chief. This will be a hire in the police department. The employee's name is Dakota Wagner. Title will be part-time police officer. Department is police. Comes out of the general fund. It's a part-time position, non-competitive. It's a union position with the PBA. No health insurance. It's step one. Wage would be $25.53. And the start date was 8/01/2022. And ask for a motion to hire Dakota Wagner, part-time in the town of Ulster.
I make that motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the hire? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
This also comes at the request of our police chief. The employee's name is Sean H. Bailey. The title is Special Assignment to the Detective Division. It's the police department, comes out of the general fund. This is a full-time position, non-competitive, union position with the PBA. It is covered with health insurance. Wage is $31.10. It's a step 6. And that also, I ask for a motion to
I make that
move
motion.
Sean Bailey to the special assignment to the detective division.
I have Ms. Hayner making a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Van Cleek, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda. The Town Supervisor's Office has received a letter from the Ulster County Environmental Management Council requesting that the town of Ulster put forth a candidate for the County Environmental Management Committee. So we have offered this item up to the town's planning board members, the town's zoning board members, and the town board members themselves. So I want this letter in the record, and we will be coming back to visit this matter at a future meeting when we have a candidate to put forth. Any conversation here amongst the board members on this matter? No.
None.
Any volunteers yet? Ms. Hayner? Okay. Chief Berardi, the next item on the agenda is relations to the communications received from the Ulster County Traffic Safety Board. Could you discuss with the board the discussion that you had with the representative of the safety board?
Board is trying to establish a speed resource page. Basically, agency or department in the county that has resources to provide or put out publicly relative to speed trailers, speed signs, things like that nature. We've been deploying our speed trailer for the last 3 years, I believe now. So I'm going to, I lent that out to the speed resource page, so public can view it and request it. Should any member of the public request it, feel free to give me a call, email me, flag down one of my officers, whatever you might need. As long as it's available and the time allows to place residential neighborhood, public highway, to monitor speed traffic.
So from time to time, we have deployed this speed trailer in various locations around the town that was resulted from a request by a resident who observed the traffic on the road not adhering to the speed limits. And just out of curiosity, when we looked at the computer recordings of the license plates that were in the recorded speeding in those neighborhoods, it usually turned out that it was the neighbors themselves that were speeding in their own neighborhood. So be careful what you wish for when you ask for the speed trailer. We're more than happy to put it out there. We bought the trailers to cut down on problems that were being reported to the police department for speeding. It has worked, but unfortunately, the results that come out when we have to go tell them that it's your next door neighbor. Oh, thank you. That's the end of it. So if you have a request, as Chief Berardi said, please feel free to contact the police department and make a request of the resources. That's what they're here for. Included in that letter from the Traffic Safety Board was a reminder that Lieutenant Grimaldi was the town of Ulster's representative to the Ulster County Traffic Safety Board, and Lieutenant Grimaldi retired in May after a distinguished career with the town of Ulster Police Department. So in this afternoon's police commission meeting, Lieutenant Seyfarth agreed to assume Lieutenant Grimaldi's responsibilities. So I would like a motion to nominate Lieutenant Seyfarth to the Ulster County Traffic Board and have the town clerk send a letter to the clerk of the legislature noting that we are putting forth Lieutenant Seyfarth as the town's representative on the board and asking for legislative approval of his appointment.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under old business, the first item is a matter that is on the tip of all of our tongues. The discussion on the City of Kingston drought emergency. At the last meeting, we alerted the town's residents that the Kingston Water Department had turned the town off from our water supply, and we were continuing to supply water to our customers from our pump facility on Fording Place Road. We wanted to make sure that the community was prepared if we needed to go to stage one of an actual drought. The city of Kingston had an emergency meeting Wednesday night of the water board. They declared a stage one drought for areas in the city of Kingston and areas in the town of Ulster that are directly connected to the city of Kingston's water supply where there is no alternative water source, and that would be the East Kingston Water District, the Spring Lake Water District, and the Hillside Acres Water Service Area of the Rolling Meadows Water Company. We have communicated to our customers a request to reduce their consumption in accordance with the city of Kingston's directive. And we will be meeting with the water superintendent shortly to discuss the situation with our own wells and how our plant is performing before we make a decision on implementing a drought restriction in the remaining districts in the town, which would be the Ulster Water District, the Cherry Hill Water District, the Bright Acres Water District, and the Glenary Water District. So at the present time, we ask everyone to watch their water consumption, but we are going to be reviewing the matter and coming back here shortly in the next couple of weeks with a recommendation after consulting with the water superintendent. Any discussion from any of the board members?
Will
No.
that be at our next meeting, do you think?
I believe it should be at the meeting in the middle of August. Moving on, at the last meeting, we had a public hearing for a special use permit to benefit Phala Technologies for employee residences at 430 Old Neighborhood Road, section block and lot number 48.17-1-9. It was in the OM zone, the office and manufacturing, and it requires a special permit and site plan approval for the use of a commercial building for partial residence. I'd asked for a motion the town did not receive any adverse comments at the public hearing. And therefore, I would like a motion to accept the resolution presented here tonight, providing site plan approval and authorizing the issue of the special permit.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2 months ago, the town of Ulster held a town board public hearing for the purposes of considering a no smoking law. There were comments made at that public hearing asking us to make it more restrictive and make the individuals, if they were smoking on town property, responsible for cleaning up after themselves. We talked about implementing the law as it was written and coming back and modifying the law in due process for the recommendations that were made. So tonight, there is a resolution here authorizing adoption by the town board of the town of Ulster of the local law number blank of 2022, a local law prohibiting smoking, that is smoking of tobacco and non-tobacco products on town-owned properties, entitled No Smoking on Town Property. May I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Van Cleve.
Yes.
Councilman Scott.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayner.
Yes.
Kitchen.
Yes.
Supervisor Quigley.
Yes, let the record reflect that the resolution is adopted unanimously and we direct it to be sent to the Secretary of State for recording at the state. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:14, past the 7:10 scheduled time. Over the last many months, the town board has heard consistent complaints from the residents who live along Glenary Boulevard about the physical condition at 338 Glenary Boulevard in Saugerties, section block and lot number 39.11-4-11. at the end of December 2021, a notice of violation was issued to the property owner in reference to the deficiencies that were cited. And that notice of violation usually spurs on some corrective remedy, some corrective action. At the last meeting, the town board again was reminded of the conditions that are uncalled for at this location. And again, we were asked what we were going to do. We immediately issued another violation with the intention on calling tonight's public hearing for the purposes of taking public testimony to form the basis for a town board action in New York State Supreme Court against the property owner to compel cleanup. With that being said, I am pleased to ask for a motion to open tonight's public hearing, to take that public testimony, to form the record for where we want to go as a town board.
I make the motion to open the public hearing.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing is declared open. We ask that if you want to come and make statements, you raise your hand, you be recognized by the chairman, come to the podium, and please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And we have members on Zoom who wish to speak. I would like to go through the members of the audience first, and then we will go to those individuals in the internet world who wish to make a comment through Zoom. So tonight, are there any individuals here who wish to say something in support? Ma'am?
Linda Fallon, Joanne Simmons, 318 Glen Erie. Okay, some of this you've heard before.
That's quite all right.
Okay. Before we purchased our home at 318 Glen Erie Boulevard in 2007, we lived in Millbrook, New York. We always wanted to live by the water. So this house was our dream. We lived next door to 338 Glen Erie Boulevard, which looks like an abandoned dump for construction materials, equipment, trailers, abandoned vehicles. It once was a yearly seasonal camp leased to a family members and friends that have been coming there for over 60 years. It wasn't a resort, but it didn't look anything like the disaster we now have next door to us. I have shared before and after photos with the town of Ulster of 318 Glen Erie Boulevard property purchased by Mr. Viviani at an auction in 2018. Before pictures were taken in 2016. The after pictures were taken 2 weeks ago with a telephoto lens, making sure we did not enter Mr. Viviani's property. The after pictures are views from our home and from the Glen Erie Boulevard. The first thing Mr. Viviani did after obtaining the property was to chop down many trees, letting some fall into the esopus, causing some neighbors to question what he had planned to do about it. He threw them off his property, threatening them. Next, he dug around and under the cabins nearest to the esopus so as to create a future basement for each, leaving large mounds of soil at the rear of each cabin. I understand that COVID changed the lives of everyone, but his before and after COVID construction methods did not change. He only worked during the summer months, excuse me, with revolving door of 1 to 3 workers. Most of the time he worked by himself. It was all exterior work and he quickly abandoned the effort. It's been 4 years and he has not finished the basement dig out, leaving the cabin structurally unsound and vulnerable to the elements. My after photos show the cabins unsafe, but portions of them falling apart. There was never a building permit posted in view on the property. When we asked Mr. Viviani to see the building permit, he harassed us to the point where we had to call the police a few times to our house to have him stop. He would restart the harassment after the police left. Soon he accomplished what he wanted, to intimidate us into silence. We have appealed to the building department on several occasions for the past 4 years with no relief or explanation. We even talked to this board about 1.5 years ago with similar results. At the last town board meeting, we learned that the town of Ulster is taking steps to encourage Mr. Viviani clean up his property and fix the cabins, or they will force him to demo the cabins at his expense. Since Friday, the 29th, he is attempting to clear the property of the dumped items. He finally put up a silt fence along the Esopus. Purpose of this fence is to prevent the movement of sediments from disturbed areas into the waterways. He recently began leveling the large mounds of soil from the dig out below and cabins along the Esopus that have been sitting for years. It's closing the barn doors after the horses have escaped. He is attempting to shore up and level the entrances of the cabins so they might appear as they did before he purchased the property. From what we can see from our home and passing by with the car, the fixes look like patches you would put over something to hide your mistakes, especially the roof repair of the cabin closest to the road. And Joy left a picture of that patch. I have the before picture of that, but that is what he determined is patching the roof. We have chosen to speak out at this meeting after being intimidated by Mr. Viviani with his harassment. But last Saturday, the 30th, he confronted me when I was walking by on my way to a wedding. He accused me of causing him all of his new property problems with my picture taking. He said he thought we had a truce and I had agreed not to complain about him. He threatened to take us to court for trespassing. I told him I am not responsible for his trouble and that his conflict is with the town of Ulster, and I walked away. But I know he would try to make our lives miserable again if he chooses to, but this time we will not be silent. The neighborhood is upset and will not let this go without some resolution. His property is bringing down the value of all our properties. We can't understand why Mr. Viviani's contempt and indifference for the laws of this town and county have been tolerated for so long. I hope the town of Ulster will inspect his construction and the site management, making sure he is following the necessary building codes for Mr. Viviani's planned use of the cabins. The town must be resolute and see this action adhered to and not let too little, too late be enough.
Thank you. Do I have any other individuals here who wish to make a comment?
My name is Linda Belzati. I live down the street from the debacle that he has created in our neighborhood. It is unsafe. There are rats in there. There's vermin in there. It can catch on, somebody could go in there and set a fire, which would destroy all of our trees. He is being very, very inconsiderate, and he feels he is above the law. He is not. What these poor women have had to put up with, no one should have to. It's a nice neighborhood, and he has turned it into a slum. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And that's the truth.
Any other individuals here?
Hi, I'm Mary Jo Frederich. I also live on Glen Eyrie Boulevard. I've been here a couple of times. I know I've called the building department several times. It's been 4 years and we're tired. And I am concerned because I feel like there's some things happening on the property that are more cosmetic. And I don't think the root problem of the safety of those buildings is being considered. So if the future plan is for people to inhabit those buildings, I am urging the town to take a real good look, because if you look at the cabins closely from the road, you can see that they're just patching over what I think are structural problems. So I'd like you to continue to get the property owner to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals here? Mr. Viviani will come to you at the end. Are there any individuals on Zoom who want to make a statement? Bob? Please unmute yourself. You're still mute. Now you're unmuted. Go ahead, Bob.
I used all my technical knowledge on that one. Basically, I have property on Glen Eyrie Boulevard down from this, and this really hurts my heart because I see this place as it was, I remember this place as it was 60 years ago when my parents rented the cabins from Mr. and Mrs. Clements. And we fell in love with the area. And ultimately, my parents retired to Saugerties. And I bought a place on Glen Eyrie Boulevard because I liked it so much. Right now, I've seen people scampering around trying to do some cosmetic stuff. Thank you, Susie. I can hear me. And basically, it's cosmetic. There's no substantive efforts in my mind being done there as much as I saw this past weekend. The place is still a mess. It's still terribly dangerous for anybody, a child or anything that might wander onto the property. It's, I don't know what the plan is. And I wonder, does the planning department know what his plan is with the building permits that exist today? And how long do these building permits go on? It's been 4 years. Normally a building permit has a start and a finish. And I know COVID impacted that. But I'd like to see, obviously what the planning committee has done so far has had a very positive effect and really got some attention, but it still doesn't seem to be enough to resolve the issue as far as I'm concerned. And I think other people are concerned. So I ask you to proceed with your intended actions and get this thing straightened out once and for all. I'd like to see a building permit that has a plan attached and a time frame. And I'd like to see some safety message put on the property so that people can I know they'd be trespassing, God forbid, but it could be a child unknowingly wander into this mess. There could be a homeless person wander in and start a fire. Who knows what could happen there? I don't even want to think about it. We're all very vulnerable as a result of what this place has been left with. So I thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening and stay safe.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have other comments from people? Peter,
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelly Epstein.
hold on a second. Can't hear you. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Epstein. We actually live between the Fredericks and Bob. Our family has owned property there since probably 60 or 70 years. I know that everybody's talking about the safety issue, but in general, this has been 4 years of a debacle with nothing moving forward, no resolutions. Besides the fact that it is a safety issue, it is just an eyesore for all of us who are trying to keep our properties maintained and the value of them. So I would also ask that the board put a finality to this and let us see what the building permit is all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other individuals in the internet world who have comments? Seeing none, Mr. Viviani, the podium is yours. I'm sorry. Before you respond, let me have the two gentlemen in the back make their comments. That way you will know everything that your neighbors have said.
Hello, my name is Pedro Santiago. I live at 454 Glen Eyrie Boulevard. I've lived on Glen Eyrie Boulevard for about 35 years now, and through the years, I've seen pride of ownership. I've seen people taking care of their properties, the road becoming a community, people working together. And that property it's a blight on our road. This gentleman, I don't know what he purchased that property for, his intentions. He does not live on our road. And I just feel that it's an injustice that he's doing to everyone who lives on that road. who's trying to keep their properties nice. And we shouldn't have to walk by and see a dump. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. And the individual in the back? No, you're good. Any other comments? Mr. Viviani, now it's your turn.
Members of the board. I took over this property probably about 4 years ago. And it was very, very in disrepair. It was so in disrepair that the owners couldn't sell it. It went for taxes. Okay? I didn't want to just patch the thing up and rent it. That's not what I'm about. Okay? I did everything possible to be a good neighbor to my neighbors here. They did nothing, okay, but called the building department. I'm cutting trees. I'm ruining their forest. They could have went to the auction and bought it like me or anybody else. For years, they haven't done anything. The people who owned it or my neighbors, okay? They, rats, there's not even a mouse, never mind a rat. It might be a mouse, okay? I didn't just want to patch it up, paint it up and rent it. That's not what I want to do. I want to polish the property. I want to make it look beautiful. Okay. Did it take me a while? Yes, it did. Did it get to the point that it got a little messy? It did. And I apologize for that to all my neighbors. Okay. I've been working with Mr. Bruno for months and he knows. Unfortunately, I had something that I didn't expect 4 months ago. That somebody, an arson, burned my motel on 9W. And I think most of you boards know about it. Okay. I lost my source of income to keep things moving. Okay, finally I got paid from the insurance company. And it's, I have never, ever seen in this country, in the whole years that I've been here, that you can't find help. No matter how much money you want to pay. They can come 1 day, 2 days, and then you don't see them. They go for the highest bidder. I've been doing nothing but trying to take care of that property. I didn't want the buildings on the floor so they can rot out. I jacked them up. I wasted a ton of money into that place. I didn't have to do any of that. Okay, but I'm not having a junk. That's not my forte. That motel that I have on 9W, when I first bought it, okay, was, you wouldn't believe it. Okay, there was rats in there. There was people living in there, weren't paying any bills. I did nothing but put money into that and made it look like what it is. Okay. Unfortunately, the last 2 years with this COVID, things got crazy. More than I could possibly handle. If my neighbors were that concerned, they could have knocked on my door and talked to me. Maybe they could have gave me a hand. I would have paid them. I don't understand why there's properties along that strip that nobody's done for years. I'm not here to complain about them. I'm here to try to do the right thing here. I don't need her constantly. And when the other building department was there, Kathy, she got to the point where she couldn't take it no more. I said, Joe, they're calling me every day. I said, come on down. You see what I'm doing? I'm cutting the trees. And the reason I'm cutting those trees was because that if I'm going to do what I have to do to these cottages, I don't want them destroyed. I don't want them destroyed. I cut trees that were in the way. That was going to possibly fall on one of the cottages, and one of them did. Okay, now how to rebuild it.
Mr. Viviani, you're well over 3 minutes and I'm willing to give you an accommodation here, but so far, all you've told me about is where you came from. You're not telling me where you're going to.
Well, I'm trying
And
to
that
do.
is the issue. We
Okay.
have, we
Well, I wanna-
issued a notice of violation in December that was not responded to.
Violation. I never got any notice.
Well, you got one last 2 weeks ago, didn't you?
No. No, my son quit. I don't know why they sending the mail to him. Okay, the only way I got heads up is Mr. Bruno approached me and tell me, hey, this is going on that you don't know about.
Mr. Tutt, did we send this via certified mail?
See if it's
Did we
signed
get
by
a
me.
result? Did we get a receipt? Acknowledging receipt?
I never got no notified.
Okay, so what I suggest you do is tomorrow you get a hold of Mr. Tutt, you get a
No
copy of the
problem.
notice of violation.
Sure.
The town board is listening to everything. We're just going to continue the legal process. And we're going to run it parallel to the process that I believe you're articulating you want to do.
I
And
want to fix
You
it.
want to
That's
fix it,
what-
right?
If,
So-
why don't the board come down and take a look at what I've done? Okay?
4 years, I think, is more than enough time. We don't have enough time to
Unfortunately-
go to every
No, no,
property.
I'm not looking to drag this out. You understand? I'm not. I'm by myself here. I'm only one guy. Okay? I tried to hire people. Stop.
We're not making any progress here. So tomorrow you get a hold of Mr. Tutt, you get your
Not a
notice of
problem.
violation. You are officially notified. You are in violation. We are
Okay.
going to continue our process.
All right? Is that nobody wants to look at the property?
No,
What do you mean nobody looks at the property? We drive around, we've seen your property. When was the last time you were there?
Last week.
Last
Stop with your
week?
comments about it.
Why don't you go there by tomorrow?
Why don't you stop with your comments and go back and work on your.
you still haven't told us when you're going to clean it up by and how you're
I'm-
going to clean it up. That's what's important here. Not all these come
Give me,
down and take a look.
Let me have 30 days. I'll have that place.
You
cleaned
have a
up.
notice of violation which has a timeline to it. Please contact Mr. Tutt and get the
Not a
documents.
problem.
And then you know what your timeline is.
Can I ask you one question?
Mhm.
Is there a law of people trespassing on my property? Coming in there and taking pictures? Is there a law against that? Not once, not twice, but numerous times. My neighbors here that riled up everybody else.
Mr. Viviani, I know you're well acquainted with the Town of Ulster Police Department.
Yes,
382-1111. If
okay.
you have a
So I'll
complaint, you
have to
can call.
Not a problem. First thing tomorrow morning, I'll do that. This has got her picture on it.
No, please, we have determined, we've taken the testimony. We have made the statement that it is unacceptable as the current conditions. We are going to continue our process in forming our path towards a judicial decree. And if Mr. Viviani is fortunate enough to fix the property to the town buildings inspector's preference prior to us getting to where we need to file, fine. If not, we're going to court. We've seen all the pictures and I've been down there personally. Not last week, the week before.
Small town, we know what's going on.
Okay. So any additional comments? With that, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a second public hearing tonight. It is under the Town of Ulster Code for the placement of a mobile home outside of a mobile home park. It is for the parcel at 294 Glen Eyrie Boulevard in Saugerties, section block and lot 39.11-4-3. I asked for a motion to open the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
If there's anyone here who wish to make a public comment about the Town of Ulster Town Planning Board issuing a special permit for the placement of a mobile home at 294 Glen Eyrie Boulevard, please come to the podium.
Motion to close public comment.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We will take written comment if there is any. And if not, we will be issuing at the next meeting a resolution to adopt the special permit and allow the owner to proceed.
Motion to adjourn.
I make
Ladies
the
and-
motion to adjourn.
No, 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 no. Ladies and gentlemen, I will, if there's anyone that hasn't said anything to get anyone upset tonight
Not
and
about
wants the
public comment.
opportunity, you're welcome to please come to the podium. The town board will listen to anything that anyone has to say. No, no takers?
Motion to close.
I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second that.
I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, and we will see you at the next town board meeting.
I think I won. I said 7:30.